Hello friends, I'm Murad. Welcome to another video. And today I'd like to talk about tariffs and the importance of tariffs, whether or not they're beneficial. I'd also like to talk about retaliatory tariffs. And there's a lot of confusion going on among people about tariffs and whether or not they're beneficial for their economy, they're beneficial for them. So in this video, I'll try to explain it all in simple words, in simple numbers. So it'll be easy for you to understand. And I'd like to first start by addressing the question of who bears the cost. Okay, so there's a lot of confusion going on about who bears the cost whenever there's a tariff rate, because most people think like, oh, United States, for example, has put 20% tariff rate on China, so this is about these two governments. This is not about the people. But they would be wrong. It's exactly about people, and it's mostly about people. So let's imagine a hypothetical scenario in which there's an importer from United States, and this importer decides to purchase 20 watches from a certain Chinese company for $20. 20 watches for $20. So he purchased the watches, he orders them to come to the United States, and upon arrival to the US Customs, the customs officers are like, okay, the US government issued an order to put 20% tariff rate on Chinese watches coming to the United States. So they call the importer saying that you gotta pay 20% of $20 to us because it's a tariff rate that we collect. This is what the government ordered. So now the importer pays $4. Okay, the importer pays $4, and as a result, this importer, instead of because of the tariff rate, they import the whole product for $24 instead of 20. And this is basically what causes all the problems, because now the importer has to benefit from this, right? The importer is like, okay, I'm gonna sell this, say for $28 to markets, to various markets around town for $28. And instead of selling it for $24, because, remember, he paid $24 for this and he has to increase the price in order to benefit. So as you can see, now the consumers have to buy for $28 instead of, say, if you paid 24 then with no tariff rate, it would be 24. Um, that would be what consumers would pay, $24, but now they have to pay $28 because of that additional 20% tariff rate. So this basically hurts the consumers because they pay more. Okay, they're now supposed to pay $4 extra for this product in order to obtain it. So as a result, the consumers see this and they're like, okay, either we can buy the Chinese watch for $28, or we can go to another store and buy the American watch for $24, for $20. Okay, because there is no tariff rate on American products because they're produced in America. You know what I mean? So this boosts the domestic production of watches in the United States. And this benefits the domestic companies in the United States. So as you can see, the tariffs mainly establish a market that is limited and that is benefited by domestic companies, regardless of where they are. Doesn't matter. It can also be European Union, or it can be Turkey, it can be Norway. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It has the same sort of process. So this basically, as I said, benefits the domestic companies and limits the market to only them, because now they compete for a cheaper price, and the Chinese watches are not being sold. So this damages the Chinese companies' trying to sell their products in the United States. Now, Chinese are angry about this, obviously, because this hurts their economy. So they're like, okay, if they're putting 20% on us, we're going to put 20% on them. You know what I mean? Now, the US products incoming to China are uh, they have to pay the 20% tariff rate. I mean, the importer now, say the importer, the Chinese importer, again, has to pay, instead of paying $20, they also have to pay $4 extra to Chinese customs in order to sell their products. So this now improves the production sales, domestic production sales of Chinese companies in China, because now the US companies cannot compete. Their prices are high. You know what I mean? So this creates a very interesting sort of environment, you know? So the domestic companies in their own soils benefit the most, while in international soils they don't. American companies don't benefit in China, and Chinese companies don't benefit in America. So I think unless you need to protect your national industries, and unless you really really need to increase production to improve a certain industry, there is no need for a tariff. I mean, China did these tariffs when they were substantially improving their own industries, their renewable energy industry, their EV industry, their automobile industry. They basically were like, okay, we're going to put tariffs on everybody so the Chinese, our own people, buy our own products. Therefore, they grow our own companies. You know, unless there is no need for you to grow your own national industries, there is no need for a tariff, because consumers bear the cost and it's bad. Instead, there should be a priority, they should prioritize trade liberalization to boost sales in international markets. And this is a very interesting phenomenon, tariffs. And I hope you understood everything I said, and I hope it was interesting for you, and I'll see you in the next one.